Hello there everyone and welcome to the movie on the lists. Now before we start this movie, let me just remind you that in this particular module, we're just having a quick look onto the strings, list and the tuples. The reason behind that is these are quite a vast topics. For covering out the entire topics on the lists or maybe the strings, I need at least 20 minutes or maybe half an hour. But we are not allowed to upload the videos more than 13 or maybe 14 minutes. So that's why I have break down that chunks. I hope you understand that I have got limitation. But right now, let's just not waste any more time and try to have a look on the Python lists. The lists are the most versatile data types in Python, and it would not be wrong to say that these are being used quite a lot. The syntax is really simple. You need to have a square bracket. These are the variables which are holding up our list. Make sure that there is a square bracket, and inside that you can put comma separated values. You can put any values, like in this first case I have got all the integer type of values in the list. In the second list I have got all the string types of values in the list, and these are the name of some Harley Davidson motorcycles, the Street, Fat Bob, Iron, Nitrod and all of them. In the list 3 I have got a mix up of all of that. I have got some years and I have got some name of the superheroes from the Marvel comics like Superman, Spider-Man and Batman. So we are having the string, but what can we do with the strings? Now you'll see that you have quite a requirement of these kinds of lists because you want to put the data inside a container, and some data allows you to put arrays and all of that are also available, which allows you to have the same type of data, like you can only have integer, you can only have string, but lists are much more flexible. They allows you to have the data of your choice. You can have strings, you can have the integers and pretty much anything. Now how do we access the data? That's the important question. Now if I want to print anything, I can simply say I want to have the list 1 and I want to access the element number 1 of the list 1, or let's say the list 2, which is much more interactable, and saving that and run that using the Python run, and it says Fat Bob. Okay, so far so good, but can we slice them up just like the strings? Yes, we can do so as well. So if I say something like this, save that and run this, it slice up to the Nitrod, of course the fourth element. I should have made that 3 and run that, and these are being sliced up from Fat Bob to the Iron 883. Now again, it's pretty simple, and if you have gone through with the concepts of the strings, the lists are pretty much the same. Only difference is you can update the list and you can delete some element from the list. Now how I can do that? Now let me just say that I don't like the 1990, so that's in the list 3. So if I say list 3 and I want to get rid of the first element, which is 1993, and you can simply say that I need to get rid of this print. First of all, I need to update the list. So I'll say, first of all, we will have a print on the list 3. That would make sense. Save that. And in the first element, I want to make sure that there is something like 2000. Save that. And let's again try to print the list 3. Save that and run that again. So notice, first of all, it was Superman, 1990, Spider-Man and so on. After that, it was Superman, 2000 and all of that. Yes, there are some inbuilt method for those who are experienced programmer. Yes, there are inbuilt method like append, delete, remove, but we will take care of them later on. Right now, let's just stick to the basics. So you can add an element, you can remove an element and do pretty much anything like that. If you want to delete any particular element, all you have to say is, let's say I want to get rid of this first element from that. I can use a keyword that says del, that says delete. When I run this code, it says that now the thing is gone. Okay, let me just hit a command Z so that we can have all of that. And I would like to have it on a separate line. So I'll say del list 3 and remove the element first from it. Now this would make much more sense when you will be reading the code after when you get the exercise files. Okay, so deleting is good, but we have got some basic operations on the list as well. I can combine them, I can check them, I can concatenate them. And let me just have an example of concatenation. I want to have the list 1 And once I have the list 1, I would like to concatenate it with the list 2 and list 2. Okay, so far so good. Let me just save that and run that. And now you can see that we have got only a single list which contains all the element from the list 1 and from the list 2. So that is also allowed. Yes, there is also allowed to have multiplication. Let's say I want to have this list 3 times. I can save that and run that, so I can have this list 3 times. I can also type for the iterations and all of that. And let me just show you one more syntax which I skipped in the string, and I'm trying to skip it here as well, but it's not actually that I want to skip it because we don't have a knowledge of looping. So there is a looping syntax. I can simply say for, let's say, x in, and I can pass on a list value, and then I can say that print x. Now that is also allowed. If I run this, it is going to print each element of the list in a separate line. But right now, just ignore this part because this is actually coming up later, because we don't have a knowledge of looping right now. I haven't talked about it. So let's just leave it. Again, you have other operations on the list as well. Let's say you want to access only one element of the list. Then you can also specify some things like that. Like if I want to have a print statement on the list 1, let's say you want to index an element 1, that's fine. You want to index element and that the count should start from the right, then make sure that it is the simple -1. Let me just save that and run that. And notice it says 4. It would make much more sense if I use the list 2, which is a string list. And notice now it says nitrod, which is the last element. Again, I'm just using the list 2 just to make sure that we have a string and much more visibility. Otherwise, it is going to work exactly and perfectly fine on the list 1 as well. Nothing much more to skip out there. Okay, we have got the functionality of slicing up and pretty much everything. But lists are known as much more for the iteration on the looping. We have got some inbuilt method like append, count, extend, index, and all of that. Let's just not talk about them right now because we want to keep that part for the later on. Right now we have gone through with the basics of the list, and you will see them quite a lot in every program that is built up being in the Python.